Good morning. It's Tuesday, January the 9th, 2024. Call the meeting of the Zionsville Architectural Review Committee to order. We have 4 committee members present. The new committee has 5 members total, so they'll recognize that we have a quorum here today. First item of business is the appointment of officers. Do we know if the 5th member?
Everyone's here.
1, 2, 3, 4. I forgot to count myself. So we are all here.
Michigan grad.
Yeah, I don't count for much. All right, appointment of officers. I believe we have 3 officers: president, vice president, and a secretary.
That is correct.
All right. So does anybody care what order we go in? Is there a rule of?
Whatever you want to start with.
Okay. All right. Does anybody want to be president? Is there anybody?
Yeah, I think Todd Rutman. So even this guy named Todd that might want to nominate Tom.
All right, we have a nomination for Todd Rotman. Do we have any others? All right, seeing none, we will take vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None, so that would recognize that Todd Rotman would be the president. Second office would be vice president. Do we have any nominations for vice president? Keep in mind, whoever doesn't take vice president will probably get elected secretary. So just.
I suggest things remain the same.
All right, so.
Nominate Tom.
Yep, nomination for Tom Castellini for vice president. Any others? Okay, so all those in favor of Tom Castellini for vice president, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, that carries. And then nomination for secretary.
I nominate David Roush.
I second the nomination.
Okay, do we have any other nominations? Hearing none, let's vote. David.
Have discussion,
Oh.
but you know parliamentary procedure.
No, we're not quite following it.
Does David accept the nomination?
I would be pleased to accept the nomination on the caveat that I'm allowed to do minutes at each meeting. Otherwise, they won't get done.
Yep, sounds great. All those in favor of David Roush for secretary, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. We have our new officers.
Mr. President, if I may interrupt, I have the first question of the year.
Yes, sir.
For the purpose of clarity in the minutes, would you remind me who cast the motions and the seconds on the first 2? On all 3, actually on all
I can
3.
send you the
I
note.
did the second on you.
I did the first. Or Todd.
Yep. Who wanted to second me? Anyone? Michael? All right.
I think I nominated Tom.
You nominated Tom. And I think David seconded that one.
That makes sense.
I did not. I was preparing my campaign speech.
All right.
You guys can correct the minutes if I'm not right.
All right. All right, next item is the approval of the minutes from May the 17th, 2023.
May. David, you had an easy year of minutes, by the way.
No such thing.
All right, do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
I move to approve the minutes as presented.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second them.
All right. All those in favor of approval of the minutes from May 17th, 2023, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Next item would be reports. Do we have an updated financial report from staff today?
No report, just that we have refreshed the amount of money to the 60,000,
Okay,
similar to 2023.
great. All right, so we have $60,000 available to us this year. Moving on to old business. Do we have any old business?
No.
Nope, no old business. Okay, so moving on to new business. We have the facade grant request for 10 North Main Street.
And I believe Paula is online.
Okay, great. Hello, Paula.
Be muted. Yeah, he's muted.
All right, we cannot hear Paula right now.
She muted herself.
All right, Paula, if you could unmute yourself. All right, still waiting on Paula to unmute herself.
So are you able to unmute her manually?
Muted.
Well, while we wait,
Mhm.
we can move to the next item. And if she pop,
Okay, all right, that sounds great. So we will come back to the facade grant request. Next item was the application language update.
so I'll quickly go over this. It's fairly minor adjustments. Last year we had some concerns associated with individuals coming requesting funds from the town or other organizations that are affiliated with the town. And then leaving within a very short time span, using that money that they had to improve their building and then relocating. So we asked legal to add some additional language. You'll see that on the last 2 pages. This is the last item in your packet.
I got it.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yep, we can hear you now. Thank you.
All right, we're not so savvy. Sorry.
No worries. All right, we will go back to the facade grant request since we have the petitioner online. Paul, if you want to introduce yourself and then tell us a little bit about your project.
Hi, I'm Paula Jeffers. My husband Dave Jeffers is here. My parents, Charlie and Luann Elliott, had owned the buildings. Elliott Drugstore, which was 10 South Main, now Rosie's, and then 10 and 20 North Main, Chavot and Core Apple, Green Apple. And it's just time for an update. I think the overhang has been there since 1970 something, maybe 68. And so we are just asking the town to consider to assist with the improvements of the overhang. We're getting new doors to update those doors. And we painted. So I think I said all that in my introduction letter. Oh, and we've done roofing on it. The shingles is the overhang. So Tom owns the building, part of the building above us, so he takes care of that roof. And my understanding is Mr. Summers owns the top half of 10 South, so he takes care of the roof. We do the tuck pointing and everything, all the other upkeep. We've improved the fencing around 10 South.
Back door, 10 South.
And the back door area. So just trying to keep up with the times at this point. Do you have any questions for me about it, or do I need further explanation?
No, that sounds good. I'm sure we'll have some questions. So, has any of the work that you're requesting funds for been completed already, or are you waiting on that work until after our review?
The painting has been done. The back door overhang has been done at 10 South. The doors have not been ordered yet. I was waiting till after this meeting, but we have ordered the shingles for the overhang. And the 2 doors will be ordered, and it takes 6 to 8 weeks. So ideally, all this will be completed in the spring, probably.
All right. The shingle material, the slate gray Da Vinci's,
Yes.
what is that material? I couldn't.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just wondering, is that like a plastic or is it actually slate? What is that?
It is not slate. It's composite.
But it'll look like slate.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you go down Meridian Street and some of those areas, a lot of those, the Da Vinci is on some of those houses down along there. It's a product that should last longer than just regular shingles, asphalt shingles that you see on your roofs. And I just thought it would give a little bit of a dressier look and a sharper, crisper look.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the quotes from the various vendors kind of give a description of work, including products, and then there's some photos in the back that help with that.
The back arch over 20 North, or excuse me, 10 North, or 10 North door will be just your regular siding, vinyl siding.
I'm just gonna go kind of out here off menu and make a quick observation. Obviously, thank you for the interest in updating the building and all of the stewardship there. That's obviously important and part of what our program is all about. I think a challenge I've got is that architecturally, these wood mansard roofs are very foreign and additive late adds, and this would not be dissimilar to the conversation that we got into with the draw a blank building up the street last.
Okay, you're kind of cutting out, so I'm not getting what your issue is.
So you're, what was her name?
No,
No, it was Scott from the building across the street. Is that
Chapel.
Chapel.
Not Chapel's building with it's a different situation.
Okay.
Okay, I'll start over again. Appreciate
Thank you.
your stewardship and obviously interest in keeping and returning the building to its place on the street. It's obviously an important block and an important building. I think one of the struggles I have is that this wood mansard and other things like it in the village are late adds, and they are not necessarily consistent with sort of the architectural character of the original building. And when you start thinking about the intent of our program, I think, and I'm not drawing a line here, but I do have some question about the notion of putting yet another replica material that is incompatible with the nature of the building, sort of exacerbating the issue. and doing it in a way that's not consistent with the guidelines of the program. So I think that's a big open conversation that we need to have, that this building and many like it would not have had this kind of a feature, and it's inconsistent with the architecture, not only of the building, but also with the streetscape. And we'd just like to open a bigger conversation about that, you know, as it relates to the program itself. So.
And who are you opening up the bigger conversation to? I'm not understanding. Just among
Committee.
yourselves?
The
Okay.
committee at this point.
All right. The material has been ordered because we were told that as long as it was a re-roofing situation, that the materials would not really.
Yeah, I think
Who would have told you that?
I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus. But they said it's just re-roofing.
right. So as far as
So let me back up then, bigger picture then. The program, and I apologize, I don't mean for this to sound argumentative. It's more
No,
clarification,
right.
because the
Right.
program has had considerable, as an entitlement program, not a statutory program. This program has had considerable discussion in its history about enhancements and how properties are being not only just renovated or stabilized, but also enhanced to bring them back to their architectural character. And that goes back all the way to the foundation of the program. The second item would be that this would be the first time, I believe, in the history of the program that there would be a grant being applied for work that's already been done or ordered. And that would be a dilemma for our committee to be put in a position that says, you know, well, it's already out there. So again, I'm not offering this to be argumentative, but I am offering it to try to put a framework around the discussion that needs to ensue around this. So at that point,
So give me an idea of what you're saying would be architecturally appropriate for this age. I mean, shingles, is that what you're saying? Just
yeah, so just to kind of chime in on that, when this building was originally built, it did not have that roof overhang there on the first floor. And that was part of the colonialization of Zionsville, which was an inappropriate historical movement, in which case they put these sloped roofs on with shingles, especially the wood shingles. So it didn't match the style of the building when it was done. And as part of the facade grant program, we want to try to go back to the history of Zionsville and also be authentic to the buildings. And so I think, you know, my recommendation, I think what David was getting at is that, you know, as far as receiving funds from this program to do improvements to enhance the Main Street character, I think our committee would help give money towards removing that entire roof structure and going back to a flat front building. And then as for canopies, it would probably be an attached, not permanent type of solution, like you'll see on some of the other buildings down the street, where it can be a metal canopy or a canvas canopy or something like that that is attached to the building should you want that type of a canopy.
We could, Paula, use that as an example of Rosie's.
Yeah.
Within our opportunity to assist Rosie's with a grant, their entire shingle overhang was taken out and brought back to the integrity of the original building. So that is a good example of what we're talking about.
Right. And so, you know, the amount of money that we'd be able to contribute to it could be fairly significant and could potentially be to your benefit to remove that canopy and to go back to, you know, kind of the flat front, and also, you know, put new canopies on there of which we would be supportive.
okay.
And then for like the back door on the 10 building, you know, you can see where the original opening was, and it's been infilled with a smaller door and some siding. I would be of the opinion that we would go back to putting a door and transom above, within that entire opening so that it would be completely open, similar to the way that it was when it was built, similar to the way that the second floor windows are where they do occupy the entire opening. And once again, that would be something that, our funds would be able to help with doing. That's my personal opinion, kind of based on the intent of the program. I don't know if other people have, thoughts on that as well.
Well, I think also within the guidelines and the rules of the program, once work is done, it's done. And we really can't retroactively give money to something that is already completed.
Yes, I understand that. I get that.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for your time. All right. I thank you for your time.
All right. So are the ideas that we came up with ones that you would not be interested in then?
I think you're going to have to let me digest it.
Yeah. I think that would be a great idea for you to think about that. Even talk to, the contractor about pricing for those items to see what it might be. You may find out that you'll be, potentially in a good financial position with our assistance to kind of really enhance that building and improve its character and kind of ensure its beauty long term, I think.
I would like to second that. Don't take this feedback as negative criticism. I think we're maybe just a little bit out of sync with the process here, which we can talk about, but this program has been pretty successful in a few cases where that maybe the preconceptions of the applicant weren't quite in line with what the intent of the program is. And again, it's an entitlement program. It's not statutory. So obviously everything is elective, but I know that I can cite a couple of examples. The front door at Louder is a good one where after deliberation, not only did the solution be much more fitting for the long term architecturally into the streetscape, but also that the applicant, found that it was, as or better financially feasible. So I think that our goal would not be to be, a traffic cop here, but to be roadside assistance, to use that analogy. And so would ask that you maybe digest this, and then we also have historically had sort of side committee appointments or whatnot, where you can have one-off informal dialogue with a committee member to outside of this forum, so that there can be a little bit of room for back and forth. So I would take that as encouragement of our interest. We all admire the building, maybe not as much as Tom, but but no, it is a nice building, and that you kind of get one shot here. So we appreciate the fact that you're interested in bringing it forward, and we would love to support it, maybe just in a little bit different framework than what you've thought initially. So
yeah, I would love to support this building and put some money towards it. So if there's a way that we can do that to help you out. Now I'm going to backtrack a little bit, and I'm just going to throw out an idea for the committee to think about. So, if they were to remove this canopy structure and go back to the flat front building, but then come back in and do some applied canopies, the overall effect could be similar to this. What would the committee think about if this was re-roofed with like a standing seam ribbed metal roof to look more like an applied canopy?
I'd have to give that some thought. I mean, once we have seen how it enhanced the front of Rosie's, it also changed the personality of the building. Like, it would also change the personality of the entrance to Chabot. I think it would make it more welcoming and more open to it, as well as taking it all the way down to past the Green Apple, down to Greek's Pizza.
So you would rather
just a top off the cuff reaction. I think you know, the Rosie's example is a good one. Although at Rosie's, there was also a considerable effort made at the storefront, at the system itself. Whereas, you know, this has, you know, a bunch of newer / old materials. So there's some, some concern there. I think my immediate response, Todd, would be, I'm not sure that would be a positive thing for two reasons. One is it brings just another layer of a more permanent material there. The other thing is that it's, by being a continuous canopy across two buildings, basically, there's a bit of a scale detail issue there, you know. So, but I'm kind of reacting, you know, sort of off the cuff here. But
I was just trying to think of some alternates, you know, that see if they might be acceptable.
Would this include the building next in between Greeks in here? Or is it just one?
Yeah, on the
building?
canopy.
know where the canopy goes is,
I'm interpreting it. So.
as it's
Oh, it's the whole thing, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole canopy.
Because that Greeks one really needs some work, sorry.
Yeah. All right, do we have any volunteers to be a liaison on this project that could have separate conversations with the building owner on this to vet out some more ideas so they don't have to wait a month? Should they?
I was going to offer, if somebody wants to meet with, I'm probably not the right guy to meet with them, but if we need an interim meeting, if they need to catch up and keep going with their progress.
well, since I'm already there,
Tom's kind of far.
I'd be more than happy to, Paula.
All right,
If
thanks,
you-
Tom.
But I think the one thing that we don't have flexibility on is any of the work that has been done already. We would not be able to contribute funds to that. So anything that has been repainted already or,
And I get that. I understand that.
yeah, but the storefront doors, you know, have not been installed yet. So I think those would still be in play, whether they've been ordered or not, doesn't matter to us because you can change your order if needed. Not having been installed, I feel like those would still be in play. Does the committee agree on that?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, I think.
So you're
on the-
saying, clarification wise, you're saying our plans is to just replace the doors the way they are now. Not ordering a huge big door for the back to cover that whole entire space. The doors will be replaced with doors that are the same size. So I understand no contribution would be coming from this committee for that. So that's off the table. What I am struggling with the overhang. I'm not a fawn lover. I get you want to go back to the originality of the building. I understand that. Putting up a canopy canvas overhang, it does not thrill me at all. I just,
Yeah, I
don't know.
yeah,
So
I think we
I don't-
would, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, we would definitely be okay with no canopy up there. Like we would help fund the removal of the existing canopy
Right.
and you could go back with no canopy on there at all.
So
And then-
if I decided to do this, if I decided to take that whole overhang off, I have no idea what's underneath there, what's going to entail. How much assistance would I get from a committee, your committee? I mean, I don't want to, I already know how much the roofing is going to cost, but you take that roof off and what are you talking as far as financial assistance?
So let me jump in. I'm not sure how this application originated, but we're a little bit inverted in this process, through maybe no fault of your own, but you're asking questions that would oftentimes be vetted either as part of or ahead of an application. So obviously your question and any answer is in the abstract here. And certainly the appreciation for, who knows what's underneath there. And also the fact that the storefronts aren't original. So you have a scale and proportion issue there are all very, very legitimate concerns, not only for the committee, but as a building owner, I would expect you would have those as well. So to be able to ask that kind of a question in the, forum of an application is going to be a little hard for the committee to answer. I think
Okay.
in a general sense, I would say, to reinforce what Todd said, I think there would be an interest in working with you. And again, we're operating without any drawings or any specific, kind of, I won't say renderings, but imagery that suggests what the finished product is actually going to look like. We're forced to kind of translate between a picture and a product spec, which makes it a little more difficult, as well. So I think the thing that Todd was trying to say, and I would second, is that, and it probably has to happen outside of this forum, outside of the, kind of a formal application review, would be to talk about what your tolerances and your interests are and what the committee then can do to support those. And it's not uncommon that the support for something that's more apt is higher than support for things that are maybe a little more superficial or a little less, significant to the, again, the foundation of the program. So understand that we understand your interest and pressure for time. It's just going to be a little hard for the committee to give you direct answers to what would we support at this point in the hypothetical.
Okay, gotcha.
So.
So as far as moving forward with this, as long as I am keeping the same structure, using this Da Vinci product and me paying for it, then the conversation probably with you is completed. Is that correct? Am I understanding that I can move forward with it, just not getting money from ZARC?
Correct. Yeah, there's nothing that we don't handle permitting, but I think
Okay.
that it sounds like the advice that you had previously about could you do that? It was probably a building permit issue that yes,
Okay.
you have the right to re-roof that to your
Okay.
liking. It just would not receive the ZARC funding.
Gotcha. All right.
So do you want Tom to follow up with you on any potential changes, or are you looking at withdrawing your application?
No, I'll talk to Tom. I like him. He's a good guy.
It's all right.
So you're the person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
So-
the one person you have now
Yeah.
been revealed. You will be hounded the rest of your life.
Probably so.
Yeah.
I can hold my ground. Also, I have no pictures of Zionsville back in the day of its originality. To me, I've grown up, there's been overhangs on every building that I've ever seen, so if you have pictures that show the originality of the history of the building, I would be interested in seeing those to get a picture in my mind what it would look like. Is there any availability of that?
Sullivan Munts.
Yeah, Sullivan Munts would be a good resource for that. They have an incredible inventory of photographs and pictures, including downtown.
Okay.
You can contact Cynthia Young there. And
Okay.
they can work with you to pull up as many images as they possibly can, but I know they would have quite a few.
Okay, all right.
And just to clarify, we're not necessarily saying you we think in order to be supported that you would have to get back to that. That's going to be a really
Right.
big journey and probably not one
Yes.
that
Yes.
makes sense. But there's the program it's kind of founded on principles that of not necessarily trying to be historically accurate, because that just practically speaking doesn't usually avail itself to most people. But that there are principles within, particularly like the Secretary of Interior standards, that the program's modeled a little bit after and stuff, that just there's some nuance and some deftness to the details of how you move back toward something, to Todd's comment, like about on the canopies, that's more polite, I guess would be the word I would use, to the history of the building. So it's a little bit foggy, we understand, but and again, that's where with the entitlement program, this committee is trying to be structured to be an asset, a help as opposed to a restrictive plate here. So, and I think I speak for the committee that we appreciate your interest and would be, more than interested in extending a discussion about how we could support you in it.
Okay, I appreciate that. I have history in that building too. So.
Yeah, I mean, we have some great opportunities here, and we definitely have the funding to help with that. So I love the fact that you're willing to continue to talk with Tom about it, because he has a clear understanding of the types of products that we've worked on before and kind of what the goals and mission are. And if there's a way, that we can help you improve the building, I think we would all be on board for that, because I think there's a pretty great opportunity here. And
okay, I think, in my opinion, I am improving the building. I think it has needed an overhaul for a while. I just don't think I'm improving it the way ZARC wants to fully improve it. Is that a fair statement?
I think a word that we've gotten to is enhancement. I think is one of the foundational words in the program. So, and we can all probably discuss the English language as it relates to that, and we'd be happy to do that. So, but trying to move away from more what we would consider to be repairs and maintenance and or deferred maintenance. So,
did we remove the canopy on the flower shop, about not on the corner, but opposite street down the same side of the street? But didn't we remove it? Put that they had the wrought iron.
That was Dot Chapel. That
was Dot Chapel. Okay, that's what you're thinking about. Okay, I was thinking the Air Chapel building down the State Farm.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have photos of that, and there was some work behind there, but it might be worth that. Tom probably has some of that information too.
Yeah, I think in the end, things that we recommend do cost more money, and that's why we offer money to help pay for it. So in the end, we think that, the character of the village is maintained / enhanced, that you would have the opportunity to get a much more valuable building with assistance from us. So the goal would be to not have more money come out of your pocket, but yet have a better product at the end. And so anything we can do to help with that, that's kind of the direction we would like to head.
Okay. That says Meridian Street, so it wasn't ever Main Street.
Yeah, all of the roads in the village have changed names once or twice throughout their lifetime.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I've never heard that before. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. All right, so unless there's no further discussion on this, we will, table any kind of motion on it and allow the petitioner to meet with the representative from the ZARC committee to talk about opportunities and possibilities to see if anything can be worked out. And we appreciate you guys approaching us about this. The beautiful building. Love that you're improving it, and if there's a way that we can help, that it'll be beneficial to all of us. Would love to do that. So thank you.
All right, I appreciate it. And Tom, I'll look forward to speaking with you and see where we go with this.
Thanks, Paula. Appreciate it.
All righty. Thank you so
Great.
much.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
You too.
All right, yep. Next item of business is the application language update. We started talking about that, but if you want to go ahead and start over.
Yeah, no problem. So the short version is we had some concerns associated with basically someone asking for funds and then not following through to keep the project within Zionsville for a decent amount of time. And so we requested that legal go back through and see if there was any way to tighten up our language, make sure that if need be, there'd be some form of clawback. So the highlighted items that you'll see on the last 2 pages are the additions that they recommended that we add. And I just wanted to make sure you all agreed with that and would approve it before we add this to the application for all future individuals.
Can you clarify what your initial comment was about something not staying in Zionsville?
Without calling out businesses.
No, that's fine. Yeah, don't.
Basically, we had an individual that asked for grant funding from the CDC. They then, within a short span of time, didn't follow, or the business didn't retain or was not staying in Zionsville, and so they closed their business. Thankfully, in this specific instance, the person who requested the funds was the building's owner, not the specific tenant. So it worked out that they're reusing that space and the funds are not going to waste. But knowing that that still is a possibility that someone could take advantage of those monies and then not follow through and stay within Zionsville, we wanted to make sure that there was some form of clawback provision.
So I'll just speak conceptually, having many sleepless nights ago originating this document. I think that the clawbacks are very apt on any deal, right? So I certainly support and get that. A couple of comments. One is that because this grant is actually dispersed upon the completion of a project and all work being done, and the project is physically implanted in Zionsville, it's going to be really, unless it's a mobile home, it's going to be pretty hard for it to leave the town. So I think that it's maybe a little bit of apples and oranges relative to how that clawback, might work. So maybe bigger legal minds than ours might want to address that. On a separate note, though, I would say that, and I'd have to reread the documents, but we do have a clawback provision, to use that word, that effectively puts in, I'm going to use the word easement, but it's not, but we have a requirement that says for 2 years, the applicant can't materially change the building without our approval, which is something that I know we've danced around a couple of times. I don't think anybody has overtly, taken advantage of that, but the level of understanding there tends to be, maybe less than what we would like it to be. Again, you just funded a project, or the town just funds a project, and somebody walks in on day 7 and changes something dramatically. Fortunately, I don't think we've had, a severe issue there. We've had a couple of minor things, but nothing that really, came to the surface to be a problem. So I guess conceptually, I don't have any question about, adding or having a clawback. I just think it's going to be impossible for these funds to leave the town, given the nature of, how they're dispersed and what they're dispersed for. But,
Yeah, the way I was reading it is they were keeping that 2-year guarantee, but this just more clearly states that you will have to give the money back if it fails, and that you're still responsible even when you sell the building, that the next owner needs to be made aware of it. So it's kind of a responsibility.
So maybe I didn't understand then. So this is basically just adding another point of emphasis to that then. Okay, I'm sorry.
It still has your 2 years in there.
Yeah, it's just adding some
Yeah.
additional clarity. No
Okay.
language has been removed. We're just adding some additional clarity, some more specificity. So there is no question, there is no they will, if they were to read it all, not saying everyone will, but it does tighten things up and make sure that we are covered in that sense.
It says who's responsible and it says that
Okay.
you could have to
I
return
didn't.
the funds.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
We still got 2 years in there.
Yeah.
Both places.
Okay.
And what's the
Yeah.
typical timeline between completion and them actually getting the funds? Is there like a 6-month timeline that this,
It happens immediately.
Yeah.
Okay.
Afterwards, as soon as they're done with the work, they let us know, we go out and review it, and then we'll sign off on it, and
Okay.
then the.
Within 30 days.
30 to 60 days at the
Yeah.
out, at the very
Okay.
outside, yeah.
okay,
Yeah. Yeah, and then the 2-year would be from the completion of the project, I would think.
when we sign off of it?
I would think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
From their
Yeah.
payment, when they receive their grant money.
Okay.
At the end.
What, and I'm sorry, maybe I didn't understand it specifically, so I agree with this. I think the other thing I would like to offer is, this is a question for the committee while we're thinking about such things. Do we feel comfortable that we have enough, control in that 2-year period? And I'm not asking that because I'm not sure we don't, but that somebody has some, obviously a building permit that would come in, but that's probably going to be pretty rare. But there's the only accountability is, somebody's willingness to come in and say, oh, by the way, I got a grant 1.5 years ago and I want to do this. I would bear to say that I don't think that's really ever occurred. And so it becomes more anecdotal. Does the committee want to have any sort of a reporting period that would be added to this? I'm not necessarily trying to, layer it all up. It's just a question since we're considering such things.
Right, and I think it's definitely worth bringing that up. I'm not sure that we would be able to follow through on that if we set it up. I think as a committee, we're so in tune with what's happening that we instantly would notice
Fair enough.
if something happened.
They're pretty much hands-on.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we've been very fortunate that over the 15, 18 years we've been doing this, we've never really had an issue. Everyone that we've worked with has been really respectful of the opportunity and what the committee brings. And so we haven't had that issue. And this seems not to have stemmed within us, but through RDC,
No, the Community Development Corporation.
Community Development.
CDC.
Yeah.
So it was just, this is another grant. So as part of that process, we would just wanted to give legal the opportunity to review your current language that you have in your application and see if there was room for improvement.
I feel what's highlighted is fine with us.
Yep.
Have you guys-
Not to.
Have you talked about any sliding scale? So like after a year, it's 50% or something like that?
We have not talked about anything of that nature.
All right, I do that with some of my agreements, so
Yeah.
it might be, hey, the town has enjoyed it for a year out of those 2.
Mhm.
Something to think about. It complicates a little bit, but
Yeah, my personal opinion is 2 years is pretty short.
Right.
That should all or nothing is
Yeah.
simpler now.
just a conversation.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good one.
I think
but
the town would have it within its rights, maybe the ability to negotiate or something, but
Yeah.
at least the agreement with the
Yeah.
state that it's in.
It's got some teeth.
Sounds good. Would the town like us to vote on this?
Yes.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve the updated application language?
So we,
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the new language is approved. Moving on to the next item, other business. Is there an update on anything that's been people have been working on?
Well, if you're referring to the Downtown Management Committee, actually, we have, we're hoping within the next 3 months that Duke will begin replacing lights throughout the business district in Zionsville. I think there's going to be 300 and some odd lights that are going to be replaced. And so once that starts, that'll give us the first step towards improving lighting in the business district. Once we see how the new lights translate, gives us an idea of what additional lighting we're gonna need in parking lots and alleyways and side streets. So that's underway. There's some conversation with the Pocket Park that that's very active, and there's a committee that we're looking at a location for a temporary, right now, public restrooms. So, yeah, there are a lot of things working for the downtown right now.
Great.
And we're excited about the new administration and that we might actually move forward on some of these things.
Great. Well, we appreciate all the efforts on that. I think it's, all a move in the right direction, and definitely a way for, members of this committee to help with the overall improvement of.
And, the last that Dave and I had an opportunity to meet with Lance, there was a streetscape that we presented to Lance, of which he was very excited about. And I think we had good support on that, but from circumstances that had been set aside, and we're hoping to resurrect that again here in the near future.
I actually, to update you, had a brief interaction with Lance. Long story short, the street between Oak and Pine on the east side in front of Tipsy Mermaid and Black Dog and so forth is kind of a leftover remnant of whatever might have been there a long time. And it's the only piece that's not kind of fully paved, the sidewalks, and there's disruptive trees and so forth. So there's been discussion about how could that be, brought forward and be much more pleasant. So we offered to do a sort of a pro bono sketch on the heels of the Tipsy Mermaid project to just look at, what some things we could do. Had like Tom said, a meeting with Lance and have since followed up with him. And we have a updated drawing. And so the presumption is, as the town goes through whatever maintenance and other little sort of street projects that can probably, I don't want to speak for them, but can be fit in somehow and kind of finish that little piece out. So,
I think one thing that is important that what we're trying to do is looking at the business district at 30,000 feet is reimagining it in the spaces that we have available on how it can be a much better experience for our visitors and shoppers, and which relates to economic development. So that when we come forward with ideas and funds that we're going to need, it's really based around economic development and the number of new visitors it'll bring to the village.
Yep.
Business
And
district.
repeat visitors.
Yes.
That's key. Yep.
So
Great. Appreciate the updates and the efforts for sure.
Yeah.
Any other business to discuss? All right.
Nope.
Do we have a move to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Give it a second.
I'll second.
All right. All right. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, this meeting is concluded. Thank you.